Okay, so Sam, let me just go through some of these things first. You've been 15 years in real estate.
Yep.
You dropped out of university. What were you studying?
International business banking and finance.
Okay, well, it's very close. Housing, real estate. It's
Yeah. Not really, but yeah.
so I love the mindset about people, right? I think that mindset says a lot about someone. So what is it that makes you leave that, and then what is it that got you to jump into real estate?
While I was at uni, I had a job selling vacuum cleaners
Right.
door door to door,
Okay.
and
Rigby, is it? Oh, right.
Kirby's.
Kirby's. Yeah, that's it.
Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Yep.
Now, there's this American brand, and
Huge.
anyway, they're $4,000 a throw. Part of the job was door knocking, selling these things door to door. We'd offer a steam clean of one of the rooms in the house for free if they listened to a 30-minute presentation about the vacuum cleaner. So prior to that, I hadn't had any sales experience, but in doing that, I learned the art of cold prospecting
Yep.
and presenting very quickly. And I started to make some really good money. I started to do really well out of it. I became number two salesperson in Australia and New Zealand within about 3 months. And then I was thinking, what's the point of it? I'm making good money. I felt like university was a waste of time. Like, all I could really think of was how much money I might be losing by not being at work. So that's what got me to kind of exit out of the course and focus on work. But of course, that door knocking, I was 17 years old. I didn't have a car. I was relying on other people to drive me around.
Wow.
So it was very taxing. So I thought to myself, there's got to be, if I'm good at sales, surely there's something better for me to sell than a vacuum cleaner. And then I kind of worked up from that job into other sales jobs before I landed in real estate.
Right. I see. So real estate, what? You fell into it? What happened? Or
I
you
always
go in for
want,
money?
when I made the decision that I wanted to sell something better than a vacuum cleaner, I figured it was going to be, in aspirationally, I thought, maybe I could sell islands and mansions and really crazy, outrageous, things that billionaires would want to buy. But I came back down to earth and started to look for jobs at car yards and real estate agencies. So it took me a few years because I was young. I was 17 at the time.
Yep.
I had to go and do my agent's rep. I got an intermediate job at a carpet manufacturing place, and I just kept applying for jobs in real estate agencies because I knew that was probably where I wanted to land, just because it was something better to sell than a vacuum cleaner. That's really how it started.
Right. So you kept applying at real estate agencies
5 years. I
for
didn't get a
five
job.
years. Well,
5 years.
I hope they're watching this because they're probably regretting it now.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Took me 5 years to find a job in real estate. Yeah, it didn't come easy, but I hung in there, and I think just about like the last month, the day my agent's rep was kind of due to expire, I think I finally got a job, and that was and then I remember thinking to myself, I've been given this opportunity after trying for such a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stuff this up. Like, I have to make the most of this because it was so hard to get a start. So I just went kind of all in and fully committed to the job from day one.
Yes.
And
Yep.
here we are,
Let's
15.
not go too fast here now, right? Because you've gone 5 years looking for a job. What were they looking for that they couldn't see in Sam?
I think I didn't understand how to present in an interview properly. And now I've learned that some people in job interviews they're professional job interviewers, and they're very good at telling you what you want to hear. And I was just too honest. I think I was too straight down the line with the employer about my aspirations. And some people thought I was too ambitious and probably, too ahead of myself. And one interview, I rocked up without a jacket on and without a tie on, just a shirt and jeans. And, that guy gave me some pointers. And every time I went to an interview, I kind of learned a little bit more along the way.
Yep.
And so, I was also very young, right? Like 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. I wasn't the best version of myself at that
You
time.
know it all.
I knew it all. Sometimes I dressed the part, sometimes I didn't.
Yes.
All of these little things that you kind of learn along the way. But I mean, I think the whole process happened for me just as it was meant to, because um, where I landed and then the opportunities that then opened up and the people that I met it's changed my life.
Yeah, I get that, Sam. But I just wrote down that champions always take the responsibility for their failure, right? Which is what you've been saying about your 5 years. But
Yeah.
let's really look at the truth. The truth is that for 5 years, many of those guys have missed out on having Sam.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that they didn't like the fact that you didn't have a jacket, but really great leaders would have seen through that
Yeah.
and take you on board
Yeah.
and probably shape you the way that they should shape you, right?
Yeah.
So what is it that leaders these days? I mean, maybe it's changed now because that's
Yeah.
probably, what is it now, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is it that really, as a leader now, you recruiting someone because you're director
Yeah.
of your own
Yeah.
company now
Yeah.
at Jellis Craig.
Yeah.
So what is it you're looking for? I mean, if you were to sit in front of a
Yeah.
Sam today,
Yeah.
what would you say to him? Or what would you do with him?
So one thing that was clear for me is that I was trying to get a job in real estate for 5 years. And as an employer looking at somebody who's been that persistent, uh, that says something to me that, okay, well, this person's clear on where they want to be. Sometimes I ask people in interviews, Thomas, if real estate doesn't work out for you, what's your plan B? And I wait for if they've got a quick response, oh, I've always wanted to open a cafe, or my brother's, in a tech startup. I'm thinking about that. For me, immediately they're not going to be 100% committed. They've got a backup plan. They're already just testing this out, right? They don't know which way they're going yet. And so I knew which way I was going, and I don't think some people, I don't think they recognized that. That was probably something that I would say, looking back on that, on those. And so when I'm talking to people myself in interview, I'm looking for who's certain about their path, because certainty breeds the work ethic. And then I suppose honesty or ability to hold a conversation. Like, I had one guy I remember who's working with me now still. He came to an job interview, and he ran in the door. He was about 20 minutes late to the interview. He looked like shit. His hair was all over the place. He ran in a million miles an hour, and he sat down at the boardroom table, and he said to me, look, if you want me to leave, I'll go. I fucked up. My car did this and it did that. I don't expect you to hire me. I'm a good person for this job. I hope you don't judge me on beat, but if you want me to leave now, I completely understand. And I said, and I thought about, no, that's what I like. I like that you called. I like that you called out the elephant in the room and were honest about it. And the easiest thing for me to say is, oh, you were late and fuck off. But life happens, shit happens. We got over that, and we had a really good conversation. And he's gone on to become a really good real estate agent in our business. And so that's kind of what I look for when I'm employing people, is certainty, transparency and honesty, not trying to sell me anything in the interview, and the ability to have a conversation and to be able to come across as interesting to a new person, because that is what we're doing in the living room with vendors every day. They're new people. We're interviewing every day for that job. We need to have the intuitive ability to hold a conversation and be curious and interesting in both respects. So yeah.
The All Blacks have got a good line, and it says, "Better people makes better All Blacks." Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just want to ask you, if you had someone on one side who's got a certainty of where he's going, his ambition, you can see he's got a vision for his own life, and he's honest. And on the other hand, you've got someone who shows a sense of loyalty.
Yeah.
And then on the third hand, you have someone who's highly skilled, but is looking now for more money.
Yeah.
Which one would you pick? Which one would you not touch?
I would be very careful about picking people that did not fit with the bigger vision of the business or the bigger culture,
Okay,
cultural piece. I think that's the most important thing. The real estate is not about one person's ability to be successful in the team or lead it. It's about having a, a, a body of people, a dozen people who can do,
Right.
play their part, and
It's
as
a
a
team
whole,
sport.
look strong in the market. Um, is a better way forward. So I would always employ people. Loyalty is an interesting one. Like, I mean, of course I would employ for loyalty, but it's also sometimes loyalty can be by virtue of convenience, because it's hard to let go of someone. It's hard for them to let go of you. They don't have a better option, so they stay loyal. I think just good people is the right, hire good people who are, they have integrity, not some integrity, they have integrity. They're focused on playing their role in the team. I don't need superstars here in my business. I don't look for dozens of superstars. I look for people who are content in their life. So if you are happy to drive a Toyota Camry and you want to send your kids to the local state school and you want a holiday for 8 weeks a year and you want to earn $100,000 and you just want to have a really balanced life, and we can find a way for you to do that without costing our business money, so you achieve what you want and we're making some money on top of that, and you're not impacting negatively on the culture. In fact, if anything, maybe you're a positive influence to some other people around you.
Yeah.
That's a really good person for us.
Yes.
I'll take that person any day of the week.
Yes. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You're getting now a young Sam, right? And the young Sam is sitting with you and say, hey, listen, honestly, I see myself owning my own show in 5 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which probably was dangerous back in those days for you to be honest with those.
Yeah. That's right.
Because they're going, hold on, am I grooming him for him to open next door?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So let's imagine that young Sam turns up now. What would you do? Would you also say, mate, go somewhere else? Or would you have a different plan for him?
I think what's for you will be for you, and things will find you if they're meant for you, right? And so I think you just have to give 110% support to people's ambitions and dreams. And if they want to open up, I mean, I'd be disappointed if they chose to open up and compete directly against me. But I know that the best thing to do is to nurture that talent and be selfless. And in most cases, probably somewhere along the line, it will come back to reward you in a better way. And you don't know what that will mean. Will they buy into the business? Will they be a part of your business? Will they be your succession plan? Will they help you recruit somebody that you might have otherwise not recruited that will end up being a bigger part of your business when they move on? So many variables that can happen. I think when we get too paranoid and try to second guess too much the impact that something like that might have on us, our energy and our focus goes into a scarcity mindset, and our energy goes into fear. And when we start focusing on that fear, inevitably we bring that on, and we bring that full circle.
Yes.
So I would prefer to support, to encourage, and to lift that person, and hope that that's the thing that comes full circle to me. Or rather than hope, just know that it will, but I'm unsure as to when it will. It's a bit like helping a vendor or a prospective vendor buy a house, and you show them 100 houses and you just hope like hell they're going to choose you when it comes time to selling their house. Or you don't really know, but you hope that your energy is rewarded down the track. And sometimes it's not with that vendor, but you pick up 3 others that you weren't expecting. Yes. And so I'm a big believer in energy in, results out. Whatever energy you put into anything, the result will come back to you, but you just never have a clear defined path as to where, when, or how those results will come back to you. So I never expect that the energy I'm putting into this conversation with you now is going to somehow give me a result with a listing lead or referral or a speaking gig or whatever today, but I don't know what's in the future from a chat. I don't know what's in the future from sharing and giving and participating and assisting and all of those things. So I think that's it's really important that we embrace people who want our help, and we give the help that we can give, and then we go from there.
Yeah, I'm sure that the only thing so far that I know it's going to do for you, you're going to attract a lot of Sam, right? There's going to be a lot of young Sam coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope so. Hope so.
So do you have a plan for young Sam, let's say 5 years into the business?
Mm.
Because you started 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And then how long did it take you for you to now open your own show?
In 3 years. So I was very ambitious. So
So,
I started when I was 22. So I started looking for a job in real estate at 18.
yeah,
I got a job at 22,
yeah,
and then I opened up an office at 25. 2008, I opened the
right,
office. Yeah,
right.
that was my journey. Do we have a plan for people in our business? Yeah, we do. I mean, we've got a
Okay,
number of partners in our business that have come on as small equity holders, and the progression plan is there. I'm not too eager just to get people in for the sake of locking them in.
yeah,
I'm also not opposed to putting people in if they deserve to be put in and they want to slice the action.
yes,
I'm pretty easygoing either way. I've got a lot of time to give to this. I'm 38, so I feel like I've still got a lot of time in real estate left in me in some way, shape, or form in this business. So all I know is that there's a path for everyone, and hopefully the more alignment there is with the people that we meet along the way, the bigger and better that path might be for us
yeah,
all.
yeah. So the only way that I can see it for you really is going to be expansion, Sam.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, my business 4 years ago merged. We managed a fairly significant merger and acquisition arrangement where we pulled together 5 real estate offices and about 15 partners and principals and kind of amalgamated it all and rebadged it and made it one business.
Right.
Um, and that's been a massive success for us. We've grown 40% since we combined it all in and then reconsolidated everything. We've grown 40%.
Yep.
Now we're going to go through a process of restructuring that so that we can grow again. I don't think I'll ever stop being in that mode.
Yep.
What that looks like, I don't. It's always evolving. But for now, there's a clear path in front of me that we want to go in, and yeah, we're keen to continue to merge, acquire, grow, expand, new offices, organic growth. It's all on the radar.
Yeah. It's amazing you do all of these things on the business side and still you're still running your own auction and you still manage to be number one real estate agent in
Yeah,
Victoria.
yeah.
So can I just ask you, winning, is it a matter of skill because you've been in the business 15 years, or is it a matter of mindset?
I think it's mindset, because I think we all have the same skill. It doesn't matter whether you speak to Michael Sheargold, Josh Vegan, Chris Helder, Lee Woodward, whatever other real estate trainers are out there, but they're all preaching very much the same processes
Yeah.
of, pre-list, setup, contact, nurture, care, set up the questions,
That's
qualify,
right.
close. Tom Panos has got so many scripts and dollars. We all hear and absorb exactly the same thing. Like if you and I were to sit down and go through a listing presentation and how we set one up, sure, there might be some nuances that are different, but the end to end is the same, right? And then we all put our real estate on realestate.com and domain, and then we all sell it either by private sale or auction. It's the same shit for everyone.
Yeah.
So what's different? The only difference is energy and the transference of energy and how people feel about dealing with you. And that comes down to how congruent you are with yourself and where you are and what you're doing and your life, and how you woke up in the morning, and how you got dressed and how you exercised or didn't, and how your relationship is with your wife or your kids or your family or your husband, or are your financials in order?
Yeah.
Are you holidaying enough? Are you stressed? Are you fat? Are you skinny? Are you broke? Are you rich? Are you whatever? All of those things impact the way you feel about yourself, and therefore the energy that you then put out. And so to be in a winning mindset, I very strongly believe that you have to work on yourself in all of those areas of your life. Everything in your life has to rise in equal proportion for you to continue to grow. So
Really
my
like that.
finances, my relationships, my family, my friends, my time out, my wealth, my health, all of that has to rise proportionally. You can't have wealth and health,
Yes. Yes.
right? So that is the difference, because when I go into a living room, I'm completely happy with myself. I'm congruent. I know my life's on track and in order, and I know in myself that I feel like I'm the best person for the job, and if I don't win it, I think it's their loss, not mine, and that energy is attractive, right? And I think that's what I've noticed across the industry, is that those who have a mindset of energy management are really the most successful people.
Right. I think you've used the word energy about 7 or 8 times now. Can you just tell me, you've been reading certain books about energy over the last few years? What type of?
Well, I've been a student of success and a student of real estate for 15, 20 years, right? So it's not something that I picked up a book on yesterday and started to read. Like, from my cousin of mine gave me a Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich
Yes.
25 years ago.
First
And
book I read myself.
yeah, I've read it 5 times, and I still listen to on my phone. I've got the podcast, and different segments of the podcast just pop up from time to time in random order on my phone. I listen to it all the time. Um, I've read and have obsessed over, personal development for many years, to the point where it's just in you now. Like, if you ask me which books have I read, I could only probably name a couple of them, and I feel like I forget a lot of the stuff that I read. But then subconsciously things come up, and you go, "Oh, that's a past learning from something." And it's the consistency of focusing on different books and focusing on different trainers and skills on a personal development level that have led me to that space of constantly referring to things like energy, because I understand that that's one of the most important things that I can control and bring to the table. Everything else we're equal on.
Yeah, I get it. So who would you say has shaped the way that you look at life now?
I think everybody has, in an equal way. So if you remember, Lee Woodward and John McGrath had Hot Topics,
Yes.
CDs out.
Yeah.
I burnt those CDs out in my car. Like, they could not be played. Like, they were just dead now. I couldn't play them anymore. I wish you would release them on a podcast or something, so that I could listen to them again and again. But I put that learning at the early stage of my career as one of the most invaluable learnings. So I went through that series of CDs and on Hot Topics relentlessly. I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't listen to the music. I didn't listen to anything. I just listened to that in my car ad nauseum. They've been really influential. Then you hear, Doug, if I fast forward to today, some of the things that people like Matt Steinwade talk about in his podcast, there's a lot of that resonates with me. I listen to Abraham Hicks podcasts and those sorts of things, which resonate strongly with me. But I've read a ton of great books along the way that have been super beneficial. Chris Helder has helped me a lot to realize, the difference between, process and psychology, and how, so all of these people in different ways have
absolutely
has shaped me. No one, I don't think, any in much greater proportion than anybody else, but I think it's just being a constant student is probably the best thing that I can say. That's what's shaped me more than anything else. I've shaped me because of my decision to seek learning and be a student. And that's the thing that everybody is ultimately the responsibility is mine, is yours, is his and hers, to seek the knowledge. It's there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you said earlier, if I got you right, you have a daughter.
I have 3 children. Yeah, 2 daughters and a son. Yeah.
How do you find the time for them and run an empire like yours now?
Not very well, to be honest. My wife said to me the other day, last night maybe even, it was the night before. You've done a very good job of focusing on your work, and you're having a couple of record months in a row and all of these sort of things, and you're not doing a really good job with us. And it was a little bit of a slap over the head to remind me that I need to focus on them, because you can get very insular in this business, and it's a very selfish business because it's all about me and winning, and white line fever, and I'm very, very competitive. It can become a bit obsessive. And so I need to have a better structure in my week. That's my battle is having balance enough to spend better time with my kids.
Yeah.
My excuse is that I balance it out over the year so that, like, I'm about to have 2 weeks off with the school holidays. I'll take a
Yeah.
month off at Christmas, and that's nice at the time, but then 6 weeks into the next phase of work, and I'm walking in and out of the house. I'm not spending much time with the kids. I'm not really spending much time with my wife, and it becomes frustrating again. So I think whilst that makes me feel good, it's probably a bit of a bullshit excuse that I use as a band-aid to the problem that I've got to address, which is I've got to continue to work on that in my life.
Yes.
I've got a plan for how I'd like my business life to look in the next 3 to 5 years. And it certainly involves me not being as focused on real estate selling, but I don't know how I will go with time management at that time. It's not a strong point for me.
Yeah. But you are really brutally honest, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Eh? You just
Well,
say
it
it
is.
as it is,
Yeah,
no hiding. It's an amazing thing.
yeah,
Uh, so can I just ask you this question before we end this podcast? And I'm loving every minute of it because I think you're really transparent. And
yeah.
by the way, with your wife, mate, Mother's Day is in a month. So you know
Yeah.
what to do.
Don't worry,
So,
she reminded me of that too.
so how do you know you're living a good life, Sam?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. And I don't know that I am living a good life. I know I'm living successful in one silo of my life right now, and I'm doing that really, really well. I'm hopeful that the success in that silo will give me the ability to translate to success across everything. But sometimes I worry that it's too much emphasis, it's too much focus, it's too much energy. Sometimes I think to myself, I'd love to be chewing on a piece of straw in a country farm and looking at some cows and not really worrying about anything. And then I think, well, what sort of, what fulfillment would that give? Would that really give me the fulfillment that I want? And then I think again, well, this is where I am, and this is my path, and this is what I'm good at. So I could be second guessing myself all the time about everything.
Yes,
I just don't know. The thing is, you don't know what you don't know, and what I do know is that I'm good at this, and I do know that I can be successful at this. I do know that I really enjoy this, and so yeah. Is there something better? Is there a better way to live? Probably. I feel like saying yes, there is. Um, I'm just either not brave enough to figure it out and let go of work,
right.
or I haven't. It's not my time to figure it out yet.
Yes. I mean, earlier you spoke about, you're happy with having a salesperson who drives a Camry and he's okay with
Yeah,
$100,000 and
yeah,
spend 8 weeks holiday with his kids and all these things. So I see that you're okay with people doing that. So
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
not that
yeah,
you only want people who are workaholic, but maybe you're one of those individuals who live a life that is through compartments. And for the moment, you're that driven, probably since the age of 17 and 5 years to get into it. Now you're into it, but you have to make the most
yeah,
of it.
yeah, yeah,
And sure, you're giving your children probably what you think is very important. And there's probably going to be a time when the compartment of being around them is going to be very important.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. And it's just letting go of what you've built up when you've been so focused for such a long time. You try to look for the job for 5 years, then you work so hard to build up momentum. Then you've got great momentum and the business is growing. The thing that really stops you is fear. It's the fear of losing the momentum that you've built up,
Right.
and the fear of what happens. What's my identity if I'm not the number one agent anymore? What does that look like and feel like to me? And it's such a comfortable space for me to be in. But I suppose some people learn these lessons the hard way, and if there's relationship breakdowns, or they lose time with their kids, or lose those, that I'm aware enough to know that I don't want that to happen,
Yeah.
and I'm walking always a fine line in life because just is how
You better wish she's not watching this, man.
Yeah. Well, that's right. She's not watching this. I know what she's doing. Yeah.
So I understand that you said that you don't know whether you're living a good life, but what is a good life? So in your point of view, what would be a good life for you? Living a good life.
All right. If I could click my fingers now,
yeah,
and have the perfect scenario, it would be I would instead of working in the business, I would be working on the business.
Yeah.
I would be focusing my time on 100% of my business time on building up the staff and their own teams as opposed to mine. I'm a very heavily sales-focused sales director, and I would do that in in normal working hours that would allow me to pursue other things outside of that. I've got a passion for being creative and development and renovating homes and things. Like, I love to turn something into nothing, nothing into something.
Right.
And I'd love time to be able to explore. I'd like the freedom and the financial flexibility to be able to have those creative projects around me. I've got some other creative projects that I'd like to embark on, but I just can't doing what I'm doing. So, that would give me the perfect scenario in my business life, and I'd like to be able to pick my kids up from school every day.
Yes.
And take my wife out for a date night every week.
Thank God you didn't forget that last bit.
No. And take my wife out for a date night. But it'd be just being able to commit to those things without work being the reason that I didn't. And when you're in real estate, we just chase so hard. We just chase the next appointment and the appraisal and the commitment and those things that, oh God, it just means so much to get it that you don't want to give up any space. You don't want to give up. And I suppose that, as I said, I'm a bit obsessive like that, because you don't want to give anything up when you've worked so hard for it. But mate, eventually something's going to give.
Listen, Sam, I don't know how to thank you, but I really want to thank you for your brutal honesty. I think, people talk about real estate, and every kind of podcast is about your techniques and this and what you did to become number one. But quite often we do forget that behind all of that, there is a person.
Yeah.
And I think that I saw quite a bit of that today.
Yeah, great.
I hope people are going to reappreciate it, because I always say to people that life is part-time work, full-time living.
Yeah.
And real estate is only part-time.
Yeah.
It can't take the whole lot. But you're brutal enough to open up and say you're still chasing that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, of course. We're no one's perfect, and it's a very, it's at best an imperfect life, and real estate, and real estate is real estate's a real challenge to work through for people if we're not honest about what we're all going through. I'm sure there's 100 things I've said today that some people will go, yeah, I feel that way. Or go, I'm glad somebody finally said that. And I like to bring those things up into the open so that we can all become better for, learning from it. Maybe somebody's got some advice for me that I can learn from.
No. You're so driven. You've got the answer in you. Thank you so much for your time today, Sam. And I hope we catch up at some stage.
Yeah, likewise.
Down in Melbourne, because you work in a very rich area. I noticed that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Bye, mate.
See you, Sam. Bye.
Bye.